It looks like this will be the second time I'll be reviewing a manga. I just want to get a few things out of the way. I am a white woman of European descent, so if I mess up any of the names or if what little I know about Japanese culture doesn't come through properly, I want to apologize in advance. With that out of the way, let's start up the review. So the manga I will be reviewing is called Stop Hibari-kun. It was originally released from 1981 to 1983 by Ishaji Iguchi. While it is a comedy manga, it honestly starts off pretty dark. One of our main characters, Kasuku, is saying goodbye to his mother. The father was a drunk and died when he was really young. The mother, though, died of cancer when he was 14. Her final words are to head to Tokyo. There, Azora will raise you to adulthood. He does so, where he meets a surprisingly familiar face. One of the few people there to say goodbye to his mother. This man has a car waiting, where they head to their next destination. It's here we get the relationship of this man and Kasuku's mother. It turns out they were very much in love years ago, but she went with Kasuku's father instead. Still, it was a peaceful breakup, and he wanted to help her out when possible. We gather that Kasuku is in his first year of high school, which Azora-san says he has a son in the same grade. Things are off to a rocky start when they make it home, only to find Azora-san is a Yakuza boss. Azora-san has some business to attend to, leaving Kasuku in a spare room for the time being, all the time wondering if he should flee or if he should stay. Just then, a beautiful girl appears, and this convinces Kasuku to stay. At dinner, Azura-san introduces everybody. The eldest daughter, Suzume, the second oldest, Suzume, and the youngest, Suzume. Kasuku looks around to find the beautiful girl from earlier is not among the group. She does eventually come in, where Azura-san introduces her as his son Hibari. At first, Kasuku takes this as a joke, seeing that he's getting a fair ways into the sake. However, he is totally serious. For Azura-san, it's a real problem, as he sees Hibari as the only heir to the Yakuza Empire. He throws all kinds of insults at Hibari, which ends up giving him a heart palpitation. This is a running gag throughout the manga, as someone is running in to eject Azura-san with a tranquilizer. What's fun is when they get the injection mixed up, so one time he's on a stimulant and the other he's on the truth serum. In the commotion, Suzume takes charge, while Suzume shows Kasuku to his room. Suzume wants to apologize for exposing Kasuku to so much in one day, but he's pretty nonchalant about it. At the room, Kasuku has to ask about Hibari. Even Suzume wonders of their true gender. She also feels sorry for them, thinking that only having sisters is what did this. She also asks Kasuku to perhaps get them to man up a little bit. Kasuku, alone in his new room, reflects on what Suzume just said. When Hibari comes in, they have a little fun with him. Hibari says that their rooms are connected, and they will probably be in the same class together. After a good night's sleep, we are introduced to another running gag. Kasuku is awakened by one of the guards. He gets a kick out of shocking Kasuku awake. However, I should note one of the gags is quite culturally insensitive. This time, though, he just offers him a cigarette. While Kasuku declines, the guard gives him a towel, a toothbrush, and instructions to get to the bathroom. Once there, he sees Hibari getting out of the shower. It is here that Kasuku realizes that Hibari has a male body, but a female soul. This scene rather bugs me, as every other time Hibari is wearing a towel, it covers her chest and not just her legs. I guess this was done for exposition. Azura-san made the necessary arrangements to get Kasuku enrolled in high school. Once there, Kasuku discovers two things. First, the school doesn't have a uniform, and second, Hibari is only known as a female student. I'm reminded of another favorite manga of mine. I only knew it as Oni-chan is done for, but I guess the official name is Onimai, I am now your sister. The basic plot is there's this older brother that graduated from college, never really had a lot of prospects, and just hasn't generally left the house in about 2 years at this point. So, his younger sister turns him into a junior high school girl. And in the manga, he ends up going into junior high school. And the one thing I question about that is the same thing I question about here. Are gendered names more of a Western thing? Because I know Mahiro was his original name in that manga, and seeing that Azoro-san refers to Hibari by that name, I would assume that's probably her birth name, so you can feel free to chime in on this one. As you can tell, it's because of this character Hibari that I wanted to review this manga. Now I get the idea that throughout the years she's probably been given several different titles, but for me, I am convinced that she is transgender. That's why I've been referring to her as she throughout this whole video. She wants to be referred to as Azoro-san's daughter. She'd rather be seen as a girl rather than a guy in drag. And while it's subtle, there are actually a few scenes that delve into dysphoria. What makes this manga really unique is how the comedy is handled. It's not so much at the idea of Hibari being seen as a freak or the idea that anybody that would love her would be considered gay. It's more about everybody's reaction to her just living the life of a happy teenage girl. A great example, Kasuku and Hibari go to a summer camp for their boxing club. Hibari and Kawaii-chan play the part of managers and get separate rooms from the boys. Kawaii-chan asks Hibari if she wants to take a bath with her. From what I've gathered, public bathing is a common thing in Japanese culture. Hibari is worried about revealing herself until Kawaii-chan takes out her contacts, stating she can see next to nothing without them. With this, Hibari accepts the invitation to the bath. However, Kasuku tries to get Hibari out of there, only to be punished for peeking at the girls. As you can wager, going to school as female while being stuck with a mostly male body has a lot of challenges. There is a squad of girls who are jealous of Hibari for getting all of the attention. There are rumors heard that she may in fact be a guy. At first, they try to discredit her by seeing her at the health exam. This backfires as Suzume takes her place in disguise. Then, there's swim class, where Hibari comes in wearing a two-piece swimsuit. The leader rips off her top to see what's underneath. She sees a flat chest. However, Kasuku jumps in and returns Hibari's top before this is revealed to the rest of the school. They have one more trick up their sleeves during a high school campout. They try to get her alone and take a picture of her flat chest. However, when they rip off her shirt, it's revealed she is wearing a bodysuit. This settles it for them, and they no longer try to reveal her. On top of that, there is a love square, I guess? So Hibari falls for Kasuku. He's conflicted by this, but has entertained the thought a few times. At school, we have Shina, who has a crush on her. He feels threatened by Kasuku living with Hibari, and roughs him up a fair bit. Then, to make things more complicated, Kasuku joins a boxing club, where he falls in love with one of the managers, Kawaii-chan. Generally, Hibari's family is not accepting of her gender. In fact, her father attempts a form of conversion therapy for Hibari. He hires a trainer of great Yakuza members and only goes by the name of the Spartan Dragon. This I found to be a pretty brutal chapter as he slaps Hibari around, strips her, and even cuts off some of her hair. What happens next, though, is great. She completely whoops the guy's butt. Another fun scene I always like to mention. So, a rival gang, known as the Crazy Face, has a member that has fallen in love with Hibari. However, Hibari tells the member that she's really in love with Kasuku. They don't take kindly to this, and they start roughing up Kasuku a little bit, kind of saying, "You don't mess with the Crazy Face." Hibari has enough of this, and goes over to teach the Crazy Face a lesson. And yeah, it's kind of crazy how she can somehow look really cute, but yet really awesome holding an Uzi. I'm not sure if this is considered a storytelling trope, but I always love when a character that is perceived as weak turns out to be a force to be reckoned with, and I'm glad to add Hibari to that list. The other members vary. Suzume, being the oldest, has to be the maternal figure, and she is very concerned about this. Suzume is against this, but has surprisingly helped out. Not only in the health exam, but when Hibari was really young, there was a festival where the alive mother made yukatas for all of the family, with Hibari getting the only male one. She was quite upset by this when Sunbeam switches yakutas with her. Kasuku is in a similar boat. In fact, having some romantic feelings with Hibari. Yep, he is conflicted about it. As for Sumi, she prefers Hibari as a girl. What is most unfortunate about Stop Hibari-kun is that it was never officially finished. The author was having a very hard time meeting the weekly deadline, and insisted on getting a bi-weekly deadline to be able to finish the story. That extension was never permitted, and the manga was never really finished. There is an ending in place, but it could have been a lot more satisfying. Zoru-san tells about blood brothers of his. While they are not related, they treat each other like brothers. One of them has fallen ill and requests Zoru-san to look after his only son until adulthood. Like for Kasuku, he gets everything straightened out with the school chairman first. What's interesting is we get a little more context as to how Hibari was able to go to school as a girl. In a previous chapter, the chairman says gender is a personal choice. Here, though, we see that the chairman also only sees Hibari as a pretty girl anyway. While heading to school, Hibari and Kasuku run into Gekijiro, who is as manly as a person can get. His mere aura sends a shockwave to Hibari and Kasuku. He says the genre of this manga is dead, while he is weeping tears of blood, because tears of water would have been too sissy. Then proceeds to tell the pair what real men read. Both of them are really off-put by that much testosterone and start to walk away. However, Gekijiro explains he is the son Azuru-san promised to watch. They all make it home when the amount of women, as well as the general atmosphere of the place, is throwing off his manliness. He has a little bit of a radar running, and he is absolutely confused that Hibari looks feminine, but doesn't smell it. There's a commotion after Azuru-san says Hibari is really his son. Hibari tries to get the attention off of her, and says, why doesn't Gekijiro and Kasuku take a bath together? Gekijiro is too manly for such things, but Kasuku leads him to the bath anyway. Kasuku steps away to digest that testosterone shot, when he remembers he didn't tell Gekijiro where the towels are. He tells Gekijiro when Kasuku finds Gekijiro is wearing a binder. Most of the family sees him as a girl after this, but he tells them he's got the mind of a man and is even on hormone replacement therapy. Everything is checked in, and they go off to school. There are a lot of possibilities as to where the story can go from here. Personally, I think it would be fun if the comedy shifted from Hibari to Gekijiro. And along the way, perhaps he learns to be better friends with Hibari, and hey, who knows, maybe it could be possible that Gekijiro could even help Hibari start her transition. But really the major thing is, I think Hibari and Kasuku should end up together in the end. It is something that has been very much teased up to that point, and in trying to win a bet, they fake go out with each other, and there they honestly start to develop some real feelings. Of course, that's my fan fiction, but don't expect me to illustrate this. I am not a good enough illustrator to do this justice. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the unintentional comedy of the references that this manga makes. One to The Godfather, and another to Gone with the Wind. And if you've been keeping up with this channel, you'll know that I finished reading The Godfather and made a review about it, and I'm still reading Gone with the Wind and slowly making reviews about it. In a ways, I can see the Corleone family going to Japan as kind of being canon, but I don't think Michael would be this oblivious to Japanese culture. As for Gone with the Wind, surprisingly we have some lesbian representation here. So the head of the girls' volleyball team has fallen in love with Hibari-kun, and the mother is playing Rhett Butler for a play she's rehearsing. That's just so random. I just couldn't help but laugh at it. But the thing I probably love the most about it is how the mother handles her daughter's crush. She isn't upset that her daughter is in love with another girl, but that she is failing to catch her. She even helps out by trying to write a few love letters. However, once the captain of the girls' volleyball team figured this out, she was just too embarrassed to pursue this romance any further, but once again, that is just a hilariously weird coincidence. On a personal level, I'm kind of jealous of Hibari-kun. She reminds me a lot of Cheryl from I Want to Be a Cute Anime Girl. The idea that both of these characters have not been on HRT, but yet they pass beautifully. Personally, I've been on HRT for about 3 years, and there's still people that refer to me as Sir or Young Man. All in good time, I guess, but there's just a hint of jealousy for those two characters. That is a surprisingly difficult thing to do. Hibari is often beaten and insulted, but I guess there's something to be said about how she still remains her identity throughout, and all the time even kind of going, you gotta do better than that. There is also the topic about racial insensitivity. Not only do the flashy girls hire okay, I feel like that was even insensitive back in the 1980s. They try to beat Hibari into submission, but much like the rest of the manga, it just doesn't work. And even taking that out of the equation, the sense of humor is something that I like, but I get the feeling it's gonna be off-putting to a lot of other readers. But that said, there's honestly surprisingly good trans representation in this manga. Like I said, Hibari isn't treated as a freak, well, at least at school anyway, but at the same time, she is just happy to be herself. No major consequences really come from that. There's a few little things in here that build up some drama, but not like other older interpretations would. Although I would have loved to have seen a bit more of Gekijiro. Maybe it's just because I'm looking for more trans femme related stories, because that's who I am, but I feel like there's not really a whole lot of trans mask representation out there, and it would have been fun to be able to see both in this manga. But all the same, the choice is up to you. If it sounds like something you're interested in, I'd say go for it. But obviously note the huge asterisks that I put about this review. Until next time, keep having fun.